Welcome back to the channel. I am here with actually cut hair now. I don't know. No, I didn't film anything since I got my hair. Anyways, welcome back to the channel. I am doing my January wrap up and my February sort of TBR video. I haven't done one of these in a long time, so I do apologize if I'm a little rusty in a format. But January, it is the 31st right now. And, I really did not read a lot in January, which is fine. I, first and foremost, I got a huge tattoo, which made it kind of impossible to do much because since it's a little bit onto my hand and wrist, my hand got so swollen that it was like physically hurting me to actually do anything with my hands. Reading came very difficult for me. I was able to read 3 books in January, or finish 3 books in January in order that I finished them. I finished Worst Laid Plans, which is an anthology of horror, vacation horror. I own so many, per capita, I own so many anthologies and short story collections. And this was one that I really wanted to get to because a lot of my favorite horror movies are people like going on vacation and they're like stuck in a hotel or a motel or a Holiday Inn and there's something weird happening to them. I think it's just a great way to start a horror movie off. This collection was interesting. It wasn't my favorite. I read a good portion of it. Like the whole reason I picked it back up again is because I got the tattoo and I was in so much physical pain. I don't know if you've ever gotten a tattoo, but I was in so much pain that I needed a distraction. And this book did offer quite a lot of distraction. It had some stories that were really cool. Like there was one about going to an old movie theater and there was like a weird kind of warped sense of reality around that movie theater. But overall, I feel like it really was kind of lackluster at times. I gave this one a 3 out of 5 stars and I wasn't so impressed with any one particular story that I think I'm gonna like look up the author and find more books to read by them, which kind of stinks. The next one I read, and if you haven't already, I would recommend going to watch my video about my 2023 TBR and my like picking of the books. One of the books I picked was In the Weeds. This is by B.K. Borison, and it was one of my picks, even though it was like a brand new book that I just got. This is the sequel to Lovelight Farms by the same author. Oh, bless you, Bento. Bless you. You gonna do another one? Just the one. The first book is about a woman who has entered a competition, like a social media competition, where she's gonna have this influencer come out and feature her Christmas tree farm, like generally just a nice farm they do a lot of Christmassy things on their Instagram, their YouTube channel. And one of the very attractive side characters was, what is his name? Beckett. He's like this very timid but very hot tattooed farmer who works on the Christmas tree farm. In this book, he actually ends up having a relationship with the social media influencer from the first book. This one was also kind of lackluster for me. They had a fling before the first book even took place. And so this takes place again entirely after the first book, where the characters are kind of in this weird falling out where like he feels abandoned by her. They were like just all over each other and almost in love. And then she just leaves without telling him her name or number or anything. And so there's a lot of like trust issues and abandonment issues in this book that are quite distracting at times. I don't know, he just didn't end up being as interesting as they alluded to in the first book. But overall, I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars because it almost convinced me not to pick up the other 1 or 2 books in the series. I will read those eventually, but after reading this, there's not a lot of rush for me to pick them up, which stinks. And then the only other book I finished this month was a sequel manga, and this was The Summer Hikaru Died Volume 2. So basically Hikaru, as this is like a younger version, but as a teenager he disappeared for I think a few nights or something, and then they find him and he's okay. He just was lost in the woods, but he comes back and his best friend Yoshiki is really convinced that he's not the same person. Like he came back different or changed or darker. And in the first book there were some weird instances of like almost sexualized horror. I don't know how else to call that. It is like this friendship between these 2 characters and there's a mention of a gay character who's like off page, but it almost makes you feel like before this different version of him came back that there might have been some inkling of a crush between them. This one was just kind of, it felt very filler for the entire thing, which sucks. So I also gave this a 3 out of 5 stars because there was nothing life-changing and I just wasn't as interested because we kind of already had the same discussion in the first one. So it is what it is. And then if anybody's interested, I am gonna unhaul both of these, not because I am disliking them. I mean, this one I am unhauling because I'm not gonna continue the series. But I just don't hold on to books really after I read them. So that's that. And then I do want to tell you my reading plans for February, because I feel like it's the most planned I've been with my reading in quite a long time. So I have 3 vlogs that will be coming out between February and March. Hopefully. I'm going to share with you 1 book from each video, but know that there are 3 to 4 books for each video. For this first one, Hannah Grace's Wildfire, this is technically a sequel to Icebreaker, who was that book was so steamy, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars, I believe. And this is about a side character named Russ, who is very sweet in Icebreaker. At a party celebrating the end of the academic year, Russ and Aurora have a passionate one-night stand. Days later, they run into each other in their new jobs as summer camp counselors, hoping to escape their complicated home lives. And Russ, again, was super sweet. He was one of those side characters who didn't sexualize the main character in the first book, and I loved that for him. The next one, totally different theme, but I do have 3 books sorted out for it. And, I'm going to show the cutest one. The book that I'm going to show you from that vlog is going to be Starter Villain by John Scalzi, and I read The Kaiju Preservation Society by this author, I think like 2 years ago, and loved it. And in this one, which has our lovely cat on the cover, which is so funny to me, inheriting your uncle's supervillain business is more complicated than you think, particularly when you discover who's running the place. Charlie's life is going nowhere fast, a divorced substitute teacher living with his cat. All he wants to do is open a pub downtown, if only the bank will approve his loan. But becoming a supervillain isn't all giant laser death rays and lava pits. Jake had enemies, and now they're coming after Charlie. It's up to Charlie to win the war his uncle started against a league of supervillains. But with unionized dolphins, hyper-intelligent talking spy cats, and a terrifying hench person at his side, going bad is starting to look pretty good. I don't know what the fuck is going on in this book. I really don't know where this book is going, but I'm very excited to do that vlog. And then the other one, which is actually including a book that I'm already reading, but I'm going to tell you about another book in it, because this is the whole reason I want to do this vlog. And I think you'll be excited too if you have any similar interest to me. But I'm going to be reading Out There Screaming, and this is a black horror anthology that was edited by Jordan Peele, one of my favorite newer horror writers and directors. A cop begins seeing huge blinking eyes where the headlights of cars should be that tell him who to pull over. 2 freedom riders take a bus ride that leaves them stranded on a lonely road in Alabama, where several unsettling somethings wait them. A young girl dives into the depths of the earth in search of the demon that killed her parents. That is all I can share with you. I actually do have books spread around me right now that are plans for February. So just, that wasn't a fart. If you heard that, that wasn't a fart, I promise. I'm gonna get back to it. I'm gonna get back to my life and hopefully start one of these vlogs for you. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments if you read anything good in January, or if you at least read more than 3 books like me, because I think that's the lowest I've read in a really long time. I think 5 books was the previous lowest, but in the last like 10 years, I think this is the lowest amount of books I've read in a month, which is interesting. So thank you again, and I will see you next time. Bye.